All right, thanks so much, you guys. I am here with Dan Wiederer of the Chicago Tribune. Dan, it is week one, game one, finally for the Bears. Now, obviously, we know that Justin Fields and this offense remain a work in progress, but what would you like to see in game one to kind of give you a foundation for the 2022 Bears?
Yeah, I think, Dionne, I think you want to look for a continuation of what we saw in that preseason finale against Cleveland. Obviously, it's more than just the 3 touchdowns they scored in that first half with Justin Fields under center. It was the efficiency with which they operated, the simplicity with which the plays worked, right, which is a novel concept here in Chicago. And it's just the ability to sort of generate notable momentum and confidence in a way that pushes the offense forward. I think Luke Getsy has been very clear since training camp began that they want to see sort of this stair-step approach to getting better. They've had that through August. They've had that into September. Now let's see it put on the regular season stage against a very respected opponent in the San Francisco 49ers.
A 92% chance of rain, though, Dan, and it could be heavy at times. How does that impact what they're able to do?
Well, let's see, right? We know all about the new surface that has been put down at Soldier Field, a new Bermuda grass on the turf down there, which is going to provide presumably a faster surface in dry conditions. But to your point, if rain showers persist throughout the afternoon, it's going to create some dynamics that teams are going to have to work around. Obviously, I think the kickers are going to have to be willing to test things out in pregame and try to adjust on the fly, no matter how the weather goes. Certainly notable that with a new surface down on Soldier Field, one of the first opponents to test it out is old friend Robbie Gould, who was very critical during his time in Chicago about the old surface at Soldier Field. So it's going to be interesting to see what Robbie's take is on the new surface and the new grass that's down there inside that building.
Speaking of the Bears' resident grass expert, Matt Eberflus making his regular season debut on Sunday. He talked about, going through the preparation of in-game management and what it will look like in the regular season and working in that tempo. How ready is he for this, Dan?
Yeah, we'll find out, right? I think that Matt has left little to chance, right? The preparation that he has put in to become a head coach, and not just to become a head coach, but to understand all of the responsibilities that go with that. Part of that is managing a game, right? Understanding how to use timeouts, when to use timeouts, how to keep replay challenges in your back pocket for when you absolutely need them, how to make in-game adjustments on the fly. All of these things will be tested in the season opener against the 49ers. What I think you have heard from inside those walls at Hallis Hall is a group, coaches and players alike, who have bought in to what Matt Eberflus has sold to this point. We've spent 8+ months now talking about the hits principle. It's time to play the hits, right, Dan? It's time to get out there on Sunday and see what this looks like in regular season game action. So you know what that means: hustle, intensity, takeaways, and taking care of the ball, and situational smarts. Hits.
Hits, yes. Please play the hits. Okay, so obviously a very big challenge, though, for that offensive line on either end, for sure. With Braxton Jones starting as a rookie, Nick Bosa can rush on either side. This test for this O-line, again, I asked the question, are they ready for this?
Well, it's a test for the offensive line, but it's also a test for the play caller and the coordinator. And so Luke Getsy has to understand that he can provide help to Braxton Jones at left tackle, that he can provide help to his other linemen by the way he, brings extra protection, by the way he calls plays, by the way they use boots. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they kind of game plan to acknowledge their deficiencies, which we all know are there on the offensive line. I asked Braxton Jones this week, obviously a 5th-round pick out of Southern Utah, who the best pass rusher he faced last season was when he was on a 1-10 Southern Utah team, Dionne, whose only win was a 40-35 road win against Tarleton State, right? So this is a big step up in class for old Braxton Jones. He referenced George Tarlas at Weber State as one of the premier rushers he faced. Nick Bosa, obviously a little better than that. And so it's going to be really interesting to test Braxton Jones's development. He's obviously come a long way since the spring to earn this coaching staff's trust. Now some of this is going to be about how do you withstand the moments where you do get beat, where you do have struggles, and how do you pick yourself back up quickly, erase that from your mind, and move on to the next play.
Okay, so this is the only time during a season that we can ask this. So what's your outlook, right? At this point, they haven't kicked off a game yet. What are you expecting from this version of the Bears?
A restart, right? I think this whole entire year of 2022 has been about a restart. I think we've seen with the roster that they've put together that this is a restart, that they go to the starting gate on Sunday with 34 players who weren't part of the team a year ago, with 15 who weren't even in the NFL, right? And 7 who just joined the team in the last 10 days, right? So there's a whole new look to everything they're doing. There's a whole new standard that's being set. And so Dan, I think for all of us that the end results of 2022 will be less about the record and more about the eye test. Does it look like a football team that's moving in the right direction? Does it look like a football team that is limiting its silly mistakes? Does it look like a football team that's playing hard? And then, of course, most importantly of all, does it look like they have a quarterback who can lead them to victories for many, many years into the future? And so I think that's kind of where the lens goes on 2022, with very few people expecting them to be in the playoff hunt for very long.
Dare I say, we're just looking for steady, incremental progress. Sorry, too soon. He's Dan. I'm Dionne. Dan, thanks so much.
You got it.